Yes.
All
Yeah.
right. Yeah, go ahead, preface whatever you want to go for, and then once you're done with that, I can take all the technical stuff.
Sure. Yeah. Hey guys, welcome to Sunday Prep. Week one is done. We got through triple witching, SPX rebalance, SOX rebalance, and now what we are waiting for is the big week of the Fed. So this is actually what we had this week. If you scroll a bit down, we'll see what we have coming up next week. The Fed is meeting Monday and Tuesday, and we can get the FOMC release on Wednesday, which is the biggest economic thing for this week. And I think a couple things to note regarding the general market. We had a really big drop last week, as we all know, a lot of chop, a lot of uncertainty. And let me just pull up this one thing that I was looking at prior, a couple notes from the macroeconomic standpoint that we want to stay on top of. So at this point, everyone is kind of assuming the FOMC release is going to hike the rates by 75 basis points, but there's still that 25% chance that they're pricing in currently of a 100 BP rate hike. 25% is not likely, but it is still possible. So that's one big thing we want to stay on top of. If we get a lot of hawkish messaging about the economic projections, inflation, and stuff like that, it's going to show that rate cuts are going to be very unlikely in 2023, and we can expect more rate hikes depending on how all of the overlooming economic data looks like. So just wanted to make sure that that is fully top of mind for everything as the backdrop for entering this next week.
Is that it?
Yep. Let's dive into
right,
some
cool.
charts now.
Awesome. Yeah. So with that being said, one thing that I personally am looking for, and I think it's very possible, and I will go to a charting standpoint, back up kind of what I'm saying and what I think is possible here. But after last week's movement, I do think it's very possible we can get some upside relief into the Fed, which is on Wednesday. So I would not be surprised by a couple green days here, and I will actually get off this. Kind of just show you what I'm thinking. So once we get down here to the daily, this is ES. I'm looking on the Keltners. We're pushing down towards the first or second Keltner. Sorry, I wouldn't be surprised if back into the Fed we were a little closer to the mean. I personally do not expect us to have a very bullish or positive reaction to the Fed, and if we do, I personally don't see it being the bottom. So with that being said, a lot of times into the Fed, when you get a lot of directional movement, you will get the opposite into it just to kind of balance it out a little bit. For example, I think it's extremely unlikely that we come down to the third Keltner channel into FOMC. Reason being, typically there's pretty dramatic reactions to FOMC, and being down here does not leave the market much room to go further, right? Being at the mean gives you a lot of room to go to the downside or the upside if things are better than expected. And if they do come out bad, they give you to the downside. Where we currently sit right now, I don't think it's horrible. I think we could be somewhere around here come Wednesday and still have room to the downside and the upside. So I think that's another possibility. I just think seeing an absolute continuation of this type of selling into FOMC is a little unlikely. From my perspective and the way that I view the market. So with that being said, I'm actually going to remove all the studies here. And some of you guys are kind of newer to the way I chart and everything, but I'm going to start actually on the weekly. So if anyone saw my weekly breakdown or my monthly breakdown on in the prep channel the other week, basically, I thought we could have got this weekly close back down to 39.30 and possibly below. I thought if we closed below 39.30, which we did on the weekly, we would ultimately see continuation on the week to the downside and potentially the next week to finish the month lower. With that being said, I do also look at monthly charts. And I think the monthly is trying to close and trying to finish roughly around these levels where we have the open here and the close here, which would be about 37.81, right? That is currently about 115 points to the downside. In my opinion, that is very, very, very possible. It's easily attainable. How do we get there becomes the question. So that being said, I'm going to go back to the weekly here. One of the first things I look for, in the weekly, and a lot of times when I get a gap down or a gap up, one of the first things I look for, one of the first things I'm going to look for here is actually to see if we stay below this level. We stay below 3902, which is conveniently a psychological level, which is also conveniently where this wick is at. You also see some other interactions as well if you look to the left with this candle and etc. Um, what I'm trying to say is on the weekly, this is a really good line in the sand. If we can't get back above 3902, we are going to continue just to go lower. We're basically there right now. We're 38.95. 5-6 point pop gets us above this. As long as we are above this, in my opinion, I will be looking for upside potential into FOMC. So what I'm going to do is I'm personally going to label this. I'm just going to say weekly. Oops, didn't get all caps. Line in sand. Gonna put it right there. So for me, as long as the market is above 3,900, call it 3902 and a half to be specific, I do think we have some upside potential. Now, where could we go? What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in some key MAs, drop this back down to the daily here so they can populate. And let's draw these. So I personally like to stick them to wicks or candle bodies that fit closely. So even though if you have a study or something like that that says it's like 3973.8 or whatever, I always round it and make it close to the nearest wick or key level. I find better interaction in doing so. So that's why I'm kind of charting that way. And then I'm going to do that again with the same thing with the mean here. So I'm just going to try to find a level that it interacts pretty well at. This one's not bad here. I'm going to take this one. So 4006, I'm going to make that the mean here. I color code my means and my MAs and everything like that according to color that they are on my charts. That way I don't have to label them. Now I'm going to come over here. I'm going to label the 50 as well. And yeah, so basically that's going to give me some very clear cut targets to the upside. The mean, the 15, I think are very, very possible if we get above. Okay, welcome. If we get above 3,900, I feel like getting to the 15 is very possible. That's 73 points. As we know, the market can move more than that in just a single day, so that's very realistic to have. We have with an ATR of 78 points that could easily happen tomorrow. We could easily get all the way up to here within 2 days. It would not be crazy. Next thing I'm going to want to do is I'm going to try to look at where the POC is, or the point of control. Point of control is at 39.43, so it actually moved up a little bit, which is kind of interesting. It was at 39.30 last week.
Yep.
The fact that it moved up a little bit is a little bit interesting. I'm going to double check with the 15-day and 39.26 on the 15-day. I'm going to leave both of these levels here as 2 levels that are populating for point of control, where there's like a lot of liquidity. I'll mark both of these right here. Remove all the studies. I'm going to move us back to the daily here. And I do the same thing I do on the daily, or with POC as I do with the other. Oops, I didn't make this blue. As I do with my key MAs. So I want to attach them to a key wick. I'm not really seeing any that matches really well with this one right now, so I'd probably have to drop to the 4-hour. Like this one right here, for example, I'm just going to drop to that wick right there. Then since there's not a wick or a key level that's very obvious on this one without moving it too much, I'm going to move to the 4-hour and see if there's a level there that I can find. Still not really. I'm just going to leave it right here. Then I'm just going to make it a 0.25. Because the way futures move is they don't move in like cents, they move in quarters. So always want to have my levels ending in a quarter number, like 0, 25, 50, 75, etc. So that way you can get those clean levels to the cent. So now when I'm looking at the daily here, same thing is if we can't get back above 3902, which like I said, is very, very realistic that we do. But if for some reason we struggle to, it's going to be definitely interesting here. So one thing I am watching for is just kind of these wicks right here. I actually create a little zone here. Boom. Boom. We need to clear this zone to the upside to get some upside movement. And then we need to be below this zone for me to really be aggressive to the downside. Reason being is I showed you on the weekly. I feel like if we get above this, we have some upside targets that we can try to hit. We do have the POX, we have the 15, and also have the 21 all above. And then also with our placement as far as where we are in the Keltners heading into a huge FOMC event. So I personally, like I said, my bias is to the upside. As long as we are above this zone, I will be looking for the upside. Now, I am not necessarily a bull. I just think that's the path of least resistance. But I do think if we get below 38, 86, 75, I will be looking to the downside. With my ultimate target on the month being down here, I believe it was. Let me check. Yeah, that was my monthly target. So I'm going to actually label this one as well. I'll share my chart when I'm into prep. The target. Let me bring up. Oh, it wasn't this chart. Where's it at? Yeah, 3781, 3807. Okay. Okay, so I personally think the low of the month is going to come somewhere in this little range. So I'm going to leave this here. Still my monthly target. To the downside, I think there's going to be heavy support here. So I'm going to make this one green. It's going to be heavy support there. And then also I'm going to do the same thing to the upside. I think there's going to be a lot of support around the daily 21. So I'm going to be looking for some levels or some reasons to zone up. So that way we can look at some areas where we can potentially see some reversals. There's not one as clean that's being shown right now on the daily. This is basically the 21. I guess you could take that wick. That'd be the cleanest one so far. Pretty sure that's where the up came from. Then I'm gonna make this red as well, as like I feel like this is gonna be heavy resistance. Was it 406.75? Alrighty, so I'm gonna zoom back out just a little bit here. So just generally speaking, I'm gonna be pretty neutral and looking to play what the market's putting in front of me. But a general roadmap here is above this zone. I'm going to be more bullish, trying to target all the way up to here. And I will get pretty aggressive in looking for puts once we get to this area. Then same thing to the downside. I will be looking for puts below this zone right here. And then once we get closer to here, I'll be pretty aggressive here as I feel like there's going to be a lot of support here as well. Another thing that needs to be taken note of was simply this right here.
Yep.
This huge daily trend line we broke. We were trading within this big, massive daily trend line. I believe it was. Is it from this high?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So we're basically trading like within this massive wedge here all year. The bottom of this wedge was put in 617. Tested here, supported here, and nice pop. And then last week we actually ended up breaking it. But another thing that I'm going to be looking for is now that we've broken it, do we come back and retest it and fail? Retest and then roll back over, right? So something like this, move back up here, and then roll back over, which I think is very possible. That also kind of aligns with my thesis of us going higher into the week, then going lower on Powell and ending the week lower.
You know what's
If I
interesting
had
about-
to,
Just
sorry,
a
go ahead.
quick thing about that trend line is also that 39.50, 39.55 liquidity pocket that we were playing off of all last week. Where that trend line is.
39.55. Yeah, I had this red zone last week where I thought we had that. I know for sure. 5-ish. Yeah, I really like this level still.
That would be the nice retest, possible reject.
I like that level a lot. I don't like what POC do you like better, this 26 or 42?
For me personally, it's still a little bit early in the month to use the 15-day. So
Yeah, I think I'm gonna get rid of it. I don't like having 2 there.
Yeah. I think this one has more confluence anyway with the last 2 trades.
Yeah, 39.42. Trying to just find some levels within so that I'm interested in playing off of. That level's pretty interesting right here.
Yeah, that's the 39.30 old POC as well.
Yeah, because this close here, or sorry, this open on this day, this wick here, and then damn near this wick as well. So I'm actually gonna get 39.29, call it 39.30. Is my level. I don't really see any like extremely clean level. Guess you could like zone this area right here as some resistance above, but I'm all right. We break above this, I think we have a pretty clear target up to 39.29. We break this, we can go 39.42. We might make that just a small little zone. Trade zones here, and then boom. We break above that. I think we get up here, and honestly, I feel like there's gonna be a lot of resistance at this 39.73. It's gonna be very hard for it to get through there as well. So definitely some major levels to the upside where I'll be looking short. This zone is one where I'll be looking short, and then honestly probably pick this zone right here as well. I'll be looking short. So to the upside, we could break here. We can push our way to this zone. We can get through here. We probably push our way here. Push up through here. My next target is the 21. And then throughout the week, I will update and adjust things if they need to be. But for right now, I feel like we have the roadmap to the upside pretty well navigated.
That bottom wick as well from Friday was right around an old POC and key support from ways back.
Just that level as well. I'm sorry, what was that?
That last wick right there, that was right off of an old POC of 38.57. And it was also, I had a support there at 38.55 as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna chart the downside right now. So that is to the upside. Like I said, this middle one right here make a different color, but the same color, just I don't know. Yeah, that's my line in the sand. That's disgusting looking, actually, but whatever. I'm changing it. Hold on, bear with me. I'm moving it back. We all know what it means. This is my line in the sand, though. I'll cover it again when I actually like type out my prep. But this one's super neutral. As we move up, these are gonna be more and more bearish as we get there, and this ultimately, I guess, like bearish zone for me. But to the downside, let's see. With my monthly target being down there, I do like this level a lot. Clearly, we bounced off there on Friday. I like this area. That's the Let's not 15. Actually grab um live Pac that week from Friday. Yeah. Oh shit, what happened? Dallas just won. I don't even know. I don't know what happened. The announcer's going crazy. Game winning field goal, I bet. So yeah, this is gonna be my zone to the downside. And yeah, I don't see really as many zones that need to be created as far as to the downside. Yeah, I'm just gonna cross reference with the levels I had here. Oh, nothing. Nothing. 3877, 3807, have all those. 2 days, yeah. 3843, 3825.
I love that we have really similar levels, but there's like a few points off.
2-day. Yeah, I'm gonna look at the 2-day now as well. Very similar things that I'm seeing on the 2-day as I was on the weekly. So I like seeing that confluence. Once again, as we're below this weekly line in the sand, I will be looking for puts. Basically, as long as we're below the close of the last 2 days, I'll be looking for puts. If we break back above, we could try to fill this 2-day back up, which would take us back up to the 15. So that's a lot of confluence from what we were seeing. I do like that. I'm going to look at the 4-day here as well. 4 days still being developed. I believe it closes tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. Not mistaken. Be wrong. But here, boom. Alrighty. I'll drop down to the 4-hour here, see if I can't find some levels. Have any levels in between here, Fu?
Let me see. Between which one?
Just basically between where we're at and 3800 that you find very important. I feel like.
Let me see. I was playing around with something right now, but let me take off that volume profile. So under 3900.
Yeah.
I basically have the old Pox of. Let's see. Oh no, below 3800. 3774 is right next to your monthly downside target, but that's an old POC as well.
Between 39 and above 3807. I mean, I'm pretty okay with the levels I have so far, but I would just
I got ones. This based on your chart. I have a 3828 as an old POC. Yeah, like right there, pretty much.
I actually don't like that as much as this. 3825.
Yeah, I have the exact same 38.075. Nothing else to put
Of course, you have like the psychological of like 3800 here. So
yeah, essentially. Hold on, there was one that was 3741. I'm trying to find out where it came from. Yeah, it was the lows from like July.
Yeah, I'm not looking that low right now. Trying to find for in between here.
Yeah. Aside from that, that's it. 3828.
I'm gonna add 3873, and that's a level I used to have in the past. So
that's a nice.
I will complete my ES. So with all that being said, I was walking you guys through my whole thought process of charting. I could have came to the session, had this all charted, and just explained what I thought, but a lot of people ask how I chart and wanted a little bit more in depth. So there we go. I said this would probably be 30 minutes, and I think that took 30. So, but yeah, so I'll generally cover this one more time here. As long as we are below this zone, I'll be looking for puts to continue. As long as we're above this zone, I'll be looking for calls. Generally speaking, this is my line in the sand, this zone. More specifically, this line is my line in the sand here. I'm actually going to make this line itself gold. line in the sand. Below it, I'll be looking puts. Above it, I'll be looking calls. My gut tells me into Fed on Wednesday, into Powell, we do get some upside movement. Think super easy targets are going to be 39.42, 39.73, and maybe 4,000 if we really get excited. Let's look at some names here. Qualcomm, I do not have interest in Qualcomm. Okay, guys, this part's going to be fast here.
Qualcomm was first on your list.
Yeah, it's my favorite name to trade. Didn't you know that?
Love QCOM.
Is it? Not. Okay. So just really quick on Google, if we are going to get some upside, I like this zone here. As long as we're above this zone, or ideally you'd get it in this zone. We get a small dip it open. You can allocate some long risk. I do like that there. So I'm going to drop that there. I do like this. I'm gonna look for some QMAs here. Just make it simple. It's way above. I personally don't have that big of a target on it. Some levels I would target would be 104. Above 104, I like 105. Seems so extreme to me, but we'll make this a target as well to the upside. I just think a little extreme.
That trend line from the lows could be an interesting target too on a retest, since we're looking at the ES retest their trend line as well.
Trend line? This one?
Yeah, through that second where the bottom level is.
Yeah, somewhere back in this range would make sense to me. I think my real target would be like 105. 104 honestly would be just fine. If you got a nice entry down here, 104 would be just fine. But honestly, for me, I'm not looking to place any risk in Google unless it was in this zone. So I'm going to be pretty patient on it. I don't love the setup, but that's one thing I don't mind it. It's down here in this area as long as we're holding this zone. Amazon has a little gap to fill, so that's not the worst setup. Alrighty, I'm just gonna give Amazon this little gap fill. Don't trade Amazon. I do like Amazon gap fill. I can get behind some Amazon gap fill. Realistically, I would want to just hold above here to be buying it. So ideally, buying calls in this range.
That gap fill trigger as well is the bottom of the daily cloud. For next week though. It's a critical level.
So with this being my target, 125 would be my target. I'd buy calls as long as we're in this zone, looking to fill this gap to the upside on Amazon. It's really that simple. Let me just bring up some averages again. Everything's above, so yeah, definitely my target would still be just that 125. That is Amazon. Roku, don't give it the time of the day. Netflix. I mean, hold up. Massive gap fill. So what we can do is play this gap fill. Now, I actually, if anything, I mean, I like the short better on Netflix than anything. And this very like strong resistance we've been seeing from 248.7. Personally, I don't like playing Netflix. It's not really worth my time. Perspective, but it does have gap fill to the upside, and it does have this hard resistance that we could fail at. So it could look something like work its way up here, fail, come back lower, or work its way through and try to fill the gap as we pump this week if that happens. So If you like trading Netflix and you want to take the time out of your day to chart it, that's what I would do. I would simply just take this key level here above this. We could break out, try to get a gap fill. This is not a gap fill that I'm targeting. I wouldn't try to take it here to here, but it does have a massive gap fill. And then on the other side of that coin, if we fail 248 again, I would like to grab some puts as well there. But yeah, 100 points.
There's another one above as well. Another massive one.
Just filling all of them back to all-time high. Oh, this gap fill here. Just go to all-time high. Nvidia. Honestly, with Nvidia at low of year, it's not too intriguing to me. The one thing that was interesting, and I think Watch noticed that early on Friday, they had a lot of strength midday. They got a lot of rotation into Nvidia, I believe, with the SOX rebalancing. So if you're a freak and want to play it, go for it. I personally just don't like it at low of year. Yeah, I mean, all the key moving averages are way above. I mean, I would target just something like 137 would be a really good target, but
It's the furthest from the daily 21 on my entire watch list.
is it?
Yeah, minus 2.2 ATRs.
Well, hold on. Well, I mean, playing it on Friday, the knife catch on Friday would have not been bad then. We were at this third Keltner. I mean, that's pretty textbook. 3 Keltner, tried to play it back up. But for me, it's too late. I would have had to catch this 4 or 5 points lower personally to get excited about it. I do like the third Keltner on either way. The downside, I like playing calls on 3 Kelts, and to the upside, I like playing puts. I mean, we did get to the third Keltner to the downside, but like I said, with it being low of year, chips have been relatively weak. There's been blips about stuff for the last couple weeks. I'm okay staying away from it personally, but
one thing about this chart too, though, as we're talking about candle formations, if you stay on this, it is interesting because if you see those 3 downsides from 9-1, 3 downward candles, they're looking similar. And if we repeat the same thing, that would be another retest of the minus 2 ATR based on the Keltner. Possible.
yeah, that could be interesting.
Yeah, right.
It definitely could be interesting. We have a couple gap fills to the upside still. We still have this gap to fill. We still have this gap to fill. So, I mean, the entire market changes and shifts around. Lost my voice. Can anyone else hear me? Still good? All right, ass. Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, it's just not my cup of tea personally. I don't see a setup in it, and I'm not going to force a setup in anything. But if you would have got some at the lows on Friday, better. We're moving this week. I'm not the biggest. Same thing with AMD. Not a fan. Tesla.
This chart.
Yeah, I mean, it's not what I'd prefer to play. Take a look at it. Try to look at it on the weekly here. Yeah, I mean, oops. As long as Tesla holds 300, 301 to be exact, 301.79 to be exact. I like it, I guess. Hold and a little breakout, but personally, it's not. It's not my favorite name to trade in general, and if I do, it's gonna need a way better setup than this. Gonna run into some heavy resistance above.
Yeah, that high from or that candle close, the body close on Thursday is POC. We're actually rejecting it right now.
Interesting. Yeah, interesting. I mean, it is above the 21, so if we do get some upside movement, it could possibly move decently well. Like I said, from the weekly candle standpoint, it did close for the first time above this level in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks. So as long as we're above 301, it could be nice. I just don't know how much I personally want to play Tesla.
Yeah.
But for me, if you guys like playing Tesla, as long as it's above 301.79, I think it could potentially make a nice move to the upside. Touch Bros. Oh my god. Never mind. Don't look at it. Just buy more. Just buy more equity. That's all you got to do every time you see this. Oh, it's weak. Daly's probably just bad. Yeah. Apple. I'm almost done here. Oh my lord. What chart is this? Apple. I have us trading in this
Ooh,
kind
I
of
like
downward channel. Had us in at least. We broke out and we came back in pretty quickly. Looks like we kind of got back in. The interesting thing on Apple is really far from the 21. Is Nvidia further?
Nvidia's further.
Oh,
Apple's minus 1.82.
Interesting.
I'm gonna add that
Yeah,
channel,
Apple
though,
seems
to
very
the-
far from the 21. If anyone's been following me or following us this last week or so, I don't really trade Apple as much as I do use it as a compass, and I will continue to do so. I just don't know how much I personally want to trade Apple itself. If it goes green and moves nicely, then I guess. I just don't really like playing it. Premiums are super cheap. Just doesn't feel as rewarding as it should be every time I do play it. Unless there's like an A plus or a news type of catalyst or setup, then I really don't like to look at it too much other than technical standpoint to see kind of what Apple is doing and if we can use it as a gauge. And personally, that's what I'm going to continue to do this week.
I really like that channel. I didn't have that up. I'm adding it right now.
Lost it. I don't even know where it went. I think it was.
Use the wick and then the candle body close. The next point.
When was it? This one?
I
think it was this. Redraw his channel.
This is what I got. I'm gonna drop it.
Yeah. Posting a visual.
Yeah, they just send it. Let me just drop it in. Where is it? What chat are we using? I'm doing free chat.
Whatever. Free chat's fine. Yeah. Yeah, no, interesting for sure. Yeah, that's what I have. Yeah, so we'll see. We definitely could try to continue to trade in this channel. Try to trade back up towards the top. Like I said, more so be using it as a gauge. But if you wanted to create a thesis for that, I think bouncing at the bottom of the channel, try and trade it back up top does make sense. So that is Apple. Meta. Well, I mean, I don't know. I have no words for Meta, to be honest.
No Meta for me.
Meta, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is it at COVID lows or is this COVID lows?
Let me pull it up. I haven't charted Meta in so long.
Yeah, 137 is COVID lows.
Oh god.
We're about 9 points away from COVID lows on Meta. So
wow.
If you hit bot right here, wouldn't you've been holding advantage, you might go red. The Zuck me her gif. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't really have anything to say about Meta. I don't like to trade Meta. I don't have thoughts on Meta. Oh, Shopify. Well, one thing I would like is for Shop to go lower and come back down to the zone. We could play it for the millionth time.
Love that.
I mean, yeah, just all throughout the year, I was like, what, 4 months now straight? I've been just kept buying this zone. Been buying this zone and selling this zone up here.
Yep.
It's worked, and it's continued to work. And if we get it again, I would like to allocate some more risk there. Oh, yeah, I'll be looking for it to fall into this zone. If we fall in this zone right here, yeah, just look for it to go back to the mean, et cetera, et cetera. And yeah, I just don't know if we'll get it quite to this zone this week. We'll see. I mean, I don't see us really gapping down or anything crazy like that until tomorrow. So maybe we don't get this opportunity fully, but a dip buy and Shop, in my opinion, makes sense as we get closer to this zone. And then watch's favorite, and the only reason it's even on my watch list, is Microsoft, and it's gross. Oh, yeah, that's prep for me. Just to go back over them all. I don't mind Google in this zone or this area. Same thing with Amazon. Amazon's probably my favorite name setup with this gap fill. Google, Amazon makes sense to me. We saw a lot of strength in big tech last week, so we potentially see a continuation in that if the market does go green and we start to push to the upside. I would like to play big tech names such as Amazon and Google. To me, that makes sense. And then the other name that I didn't mind was Netflix. I just personally won't be trading it, but is a rejection here. Yeah, right. Ask. But if we go here on Netflix, a short here wouldn't be bad in my opinion. At a if we do get through and we hold it, maybe play some calls. But I don't trust Netflix. I would much rather short it, especially if you have the patience to buy more than weeklies.
I'm looking at Microsoft's chart. I think if you're not day trading naked options, it's kind of interesting for selling some
This
premium.
dip buy here.
Yeah, like as long as in premium, because this is that 241.51 that we bounced off of yesterday, Friday was the 365-day low, which is very interesting. But if you've ever day traded calls or puts on Microsoft, you know that the premiums are not worth the attention and emotions for naked.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you want to buy equity, then go for it. But I wouldn't. I'm not looking to trade it this week.
Yeah, definitely not for this week.
But yeah, that is basically everything. If there's any other name or anything like that that you guys want me to look at, drop it in the chat. XOM, your favorite oil sector stock. I don't even. All right, let's see. Look at ZOM. ZOM Mobile, huh? Square or financials? All right, I got you after that. Big Bad Wolf. I like Google, or I'll just show it really quick. Google, if we could just hold this zone, maintain holding this zone, I don't think it's that bad. I don't know if we'll get the opportunity to get the right dip buy on it. Amazon's probably my favorite name. Try to play this gap fill to the upside. And that's really it on the market, honestly. If you want to play Netflix, this gap fill rejection isn't bad, but I just don't like playing Netflix all that much. And that's really it. Everything else is pretty damn gross. Everything. Yeah, I'll check out XLE right now in a second. Everything else is pretty freaking gross across the board, in my opinion. I didn't see anything else. Apple kind of interesting in the fact that we kind of had this channel that we were trading in, broke out, came back in pretty quickly, and potentially could be putting in a reversal candle here to try to go back up. But I would much rather use Apple as a gauge than actually trade it. So kind of interesting. And then the thesis on shop. If we could get down here, I would like to dip buy, but it's a little bit of work in my opinion. Get the R to R that I'd be looking for. And then as far as just overall in the market goes, my line in the sand heading into this week is kind of this zone. If we're above this zone, I'll be looking for calls trying to get us up to POC 15. If below, I think we can try to move lower. It's just a little harder, in my opinion, to quote unquote implode with Fed this week. So that's basically my watch list and everything that I saw. But yeah, pretty straightforward week. I feel like with Powell on Wednesday, my gut tells me we'll probably get some upside / choppy movement. I don't really see us dying over the next day or two. After Powell might be a different story, but yeah.
Yeah, and before we get into any requests